Corsair's comeback tour continues with the Sabre Pro RGB Wireless. It's quite a mouthful and it's honestly quite a unique product. Good afternoon and welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm recently 4-piece variety or Wooks Triple XL, and this is one of my absolute favorite types of products to test. Not just that it's a mouse and I have a gaming mouse problem, and I used to have 4 at one point on hand in time. Hey, we don't talk about that, okay? My obsession with gaming mouse is should be well known, I think, at this point. But this one is particularly unique in the fact that it's got all of the right stuff that we want to see, from a really good sensor to a really good wireless to just a general good build quality, and actually quite a competitive price point comparing to the other premium FPS gaming mouse in the segment. It's actually quite cheap, if anything, compared to a lot of the other tier 1 brands. But this one is particularly unique in its shape and its design, and I love that because it's adding to a market space instead of just being a copycat on everybody else's product. Anyway, you know, we always start off with what's in the box. Well, you get a mouse, obviously, you get a couple of nice little manuals, you get a really staunch rubberized USB cable, and then the 2.4 gigahertz dongle. The dongle and the cable are really nicely finished, do have Corsair logos all over them, and I mean, just look at the size of that dongle, it's absolutely tiny. You're only going to really need to use the cable when you're doing your first connection and when you're doing firmware updates and some surface calibration testing. Now, the mouse itself, as I said, has a couple of unique little things about it. We're going to start off on the bottom. So it's got a nice little hatch door over there that you can then put your 2.4 gigahertz dongle in for when you're on the move, which is kind of normal, but it does also have a Bluetooth mode, which is a little bit standout these days. Not a lot of mice, especially in the premium segment, have both the 2.4 gigahertz wireless and the Bluetooth, so it is nice that it is making a feature there. So if you're going to connect it to your laptop for quick usage over there, if you're living like a double life, then it's going to aid you and abet you in doing that. The feet on the bottom as well, they're not the most glidey I've ever used ever. They do give me a little bit of a control type of feel overall to the mouse. Then on the left hand side, more of normality over there, with the 2 thumb buttons being where they are. The front one is a little bit harder to reach, I would say, than the back button. It is a little bit set far forward, and in general this mouse gives me big palm sort of feeling, and I've got a 20 centimeter from middle finger to base over there hand, so I do have a bit of a larger hand, and it still feels really big in the palm compared to what I'm used to using. It does feel quite comfortable, that being said though. Anyway, moving around the front, you're going to see a Type-C input over there for that cable and for your charging, and then if you need to sync it up, etc. And then you're going to notice the grooves over there for the left and right click. More normality, more of the same. Then on the top, you're going to see obviously that nice rubberized scroll, and then just behind it there, you're going to see the DPI switch button. Along the right hand side is now where we start to get to that little bit unique point. This does give a lot of Death Adder V3 kind of effects, except for the fact that the center hump is so far up. It's by far the highest and the longest feeling mouse I've used as of late, honestly. And around that back end, you're going to see that outward slope, and this is something that I think is a little bit unique, and is going to be especially nice for people with bigger hands. This has been made for people with a larger palm. So like the Mad Catz Mojo M2 was a little bit small feeling, honestly, for me. This is a little bit big feeling for me, and it's got the goods internally to give you that kind of performance. There's a big focus here on debounce time and responsiveness from the buttons. They have direct contact onto the on-run switches. They guarantee you a 50 million click lifetime, which is more than double what a lot of other on-run setups give, which is about 20 million. So very nice over there with that. And then we've got a 50G 650 IPS sensor capable of 26,000 DPI. I did use it on all 26,000 DPI and I faced no jitter. I generally scale off of 400 DPI though. So that's why I'm saying this is a little bit unique. At 79 grams with such a big body, it's kind of nuts that it only weighs 79 grams with that big body. And you'd think that the battery life would be affected by that. I only used about a third of the total battery life. in more than 2 days worth of usage. So you're going to say, and I mean, I would say I probably use a lot more than you, especially if you're in a working life and you play like 4 hours worth of gaming a day, not like 8 to 10 like your boy, where somehow I figured out to get paid for playing games. Anyway, I used it quite a lot. I would say about 18 to 20 hours, and I only used about a third of the battery with full 2000 hertz polling rate and the RGB going on the back. The software, it's IQ, which I know a lot of people aren't generally kind of a fan of. It does need a little bit of polish still, Corsair, please, or sort it out for us. But functionality-wise, everything worked as expected, and I was able to do firmware update for this and for the dongle, absolutely no problems. Did need to connect this on its own USB cable for that, and I would have liked to have a connecting block just to go from the Type C of this to the Type A. That's literally the only thing I think they could add to this package and to the overall product to help it improve. So what about that performance? What was it like to use? Well, like I said, for me, I actually got a little bit sore of using it because of how broad it is over here. I tend to lift with my pinky and with my thumb, and it just felt a little bit awkward for me personally. It's a little bit too wide, and then having a sloped outer edge, it did make lifting it up with that sloped outer edge a little bit difficult. But if your pinky goes even just slightly further forward than mine, then you're going onto a flat, or like the very front over here is then curved upward and outward like that. No sharp edge. They've done a very good job over here to keep this edge rounded, so it's not going to annoy your fingers, but it's definitely been made for people with a larger hand in mind than mine. And yeah, so if you're a big guy and you want a really big ergonomic mouse, then this is going to be right up your alley. The performance, as I said, in game was absolutely fantastic. I had no issues with the sensor, no issues with the buttons. That felt really, really good. The front button on the front here was a little bit hard for me personally to reach, but it didn't affect the performance of the product at all. The body is also pretty good. The only shake you're going to get is a little bit there from the scrolls, and the clicks are really crispy and fresh. Listen to this. And they click right up the top of the back here. So if you've got a big hand and you want a claw grip, you should be fine as well. Now, as I said, this is kind of like a premium package, and the Slipstream Wireless is giga ranged once again. I literally used it across the entire studio, absolutely no problem. If I could go further than that with line of sight, I'd hazard a guess that it would still work as well, because as I've tested with the HS65 wireless, it's by far the best wireless technology I've run into so far. So Corsair's really doubling down on that with their mouse product as well. Good battery life on this, great sensor, good clicks. It's very good. If you have a big hand, then this is literally the mouse for you. If you like big palming type of grip type setups, I mean, that's me full palm, and I can just barely reach the front button over there. The back is a lot more comfortable. So like I say, it's a big mouse for big hands. And yeah, it's got a lift off distance mode that you can modify on IQ as well, so, and you can surface calibrate it as well, which is really, really nice to have. All of that for like $2,000. It sets itself really squarely in that premium value type of segment. I just like it. I think they've done an incredibly good job over here. It's one of the better mice I've used. I am a little bit disappointed in the size of it though, personally. I was really looking forward to the Sabre because I like the general look of the shape. I was like, this is going to be a really, really nice ergo mouse. And it is. It's just a little bit big. And so it's going to push itself out of the hands of maybe some smaller people on the side, some hobbiters. This is not for you. But if you're Kurbis Visser and you have a hand the size of a pan, then it's going to fit in your hand absolutely perfectly. You're not going to be wanting for any functionality. Battery life, wireless, etc. Everything was good. Got to give this a solid 9 out of 10. The only reason it didn't get 10 out of 10 is because just give me a connecting block for this so I can do this on my desk, and then I don't have to use 2 USB ports for my connection on this. Please, Corsair, that would just be nice. It's the only thing really you need to modify with this product. Otherwise, you did good. You done did good, kid. Anywho, that is all I have for you on the Sabre RGB Pro Wireless. If you have enjoyed this review, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.